Hello, and a very warm welcome to Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Live 2020. Thank you so much for joining us. It's my great pleasure today to be hosting the session for the next 30 minutes on supply chain innovation. My name is Richard Logan. I'm the event and content producer here at Automotive Logistics, and I'll be joined today for the next 30 minutes with Wolfgang Lehmacher, technology strategist and thought leader, along with Marko Weisshaar, head of supply chain management at OEM startup INEOS Automotive. But before we meet our panel, I wanted to kick off with a quick poll to get our audience involved and engaged, looking at some of the key elements of supply chain innovation. So I'm just going to launch that now. So we're looking at what are the most important elements for successful innovation. We've got leadership, financial resources, company culture, and technology. I can already see that the results are coming through. And in the meantime, whilst we let the poll run, now I want to bring back Wolfgang Lehmacher back onto the screen for an introduction, and also to get to know you a little bit better, Wolfgang. We asked you to provide an image that speaks volumes to you about innovation. So if we're ready with that image. We're not ready with that image, but Wolfgang, perhaps you can just briefly introduce yourself while we wait for that image to appear.
Richard, it's a great pleasure to be here and talk about such an important project or topic, which is innovation in automotive logistics or innovation in general. I'm working for decades in supply chain innovation. I always have driven, whether on corporate side as a product manager, divisional manager, country manager, regional manager, or group CEO, I have driven expansion and investment projects to prepare the companies and the businesses for the future. The last 10 years, I have been intensively working with the World Economic Forum. I have a portfolio of startups I look after and help to define their strategy and stick to it. So that's in that capacity, I'm sitting on a number of boards, think tanks, and awards committees.
Great. Well, you're certainly in the right place then to be discussing supply chain innovation. And perhaps now I can bring Marko onto the screen before we get to the images. And Marko, welcome to the panel. And why are you here on the supply chain innovation panel?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you guys here. So it's a fantastic event. So I was really looking forward to it. Well, for those who don't know me, and probably the most of you, I'm Marko Weisshaar. I'm head of supply chain at INEOS Automotive. So I would say a startup company, British-based startup company for automotive manufacturing. We will bring up the car within the next 1.5 years to sale. I'm responsible for supply chain management, doing this for the last 1.5 years. And so that's me, that's my background, and why I do and why innovation. I have to do a lot with innovation, actually. So when you are a startup and when you need to think about things from scratch, you need to think about how you enable innovations. This is very important. And then, so you need to bring up the environment, the atmosphere in, and I would say even the company culture is based on innovation. And that's, I think, the reason why I'm here and why I try to exchange ideas with you.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to you both, and let's get straight to it. So we asked you both to provide an image that speaks volumes to you when talking about innovation. So Wolfgang, you're up first.
Yeah,
I certainly don't think that was your image.
Yeah, let's leave it there. I think people see the image, and why did I pick it? Because when we talk about innovation, innovation is something new, something that works, something that is implemented. And to get there, you need to think the new, you need to think different than what is existing. And that, in fact, makes the innovator or brings the innovator in a special position. And that's what the image expresses. He is, at the beginning, definitely alone on himself, on herself, whether it's in a startup, whether it's in a corporate. The innovator has to sell the project, has to convince the management that this is a great idea. And when he is alone or she is alone and wants to create a company, it's a similar situation. It's going with the passion to the people to get the resources, get the money, get people to join. So the being the innovator, or what innovation means, it means on the one hand a lot of burden, because being different, being outside the routine is not everybody's cup of tea, and finding the resources, finding the people to join, I have experienced is difficult, and that's very hard work. On the other side, the innovator is usually or enjoys more freedom because he's on her or his own and has more room for decision making. So there are the plus and minuses out of this position of being the person that spearheads something which might at the end be a success or not. And we can talk and take it from there, but I think the message is clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And apologies, a little bit of technical difficulties there as we seem to be keep losing the images, but hopefully you understood the image. And I think also there was enough time for us to have a quick look at Marko's image there. So the stages of evolution. Why don't you talk to us briefly about that?
Yeah. So what has been just shown now was a very, I would say, 2 seconds. You have seen the picture which I brought up. That was more or less the evolution theory, yeah, the evolution of human. And so why do I pick it up as an innovation picture? Why does it come? Because I strongly believe why humans develop is because on one side, on the inside out, because for example, there is always a competition between each other for the survival of the best. What is the best one? That has to develop. And the other ones who are probably not competitive anymore, they will disappear. So innovation is always a part of also about being competitive. So you have to be innovative to be competitive. This is one side. On the other side, looking at the evolution theory, why humans are even here on the world. And looking very much backwards, before even humans were here, it was the Ice Age, was the age of the dinosaur, and something from outside has completely changed the world. The environment, temperature, and everything like this. And the dinosaur, they had to go. They had no possibility anymore to survive. So it's again about innovation, about when the environment changes, the ones who adapt to the environment, they are the best ones. So I think about when you think about innovation is about, you always need to create a culture of innovation that I would say some kind of pressure or changes from outside so that they adapt, and you need to reinvent yourself again. And on the other side, you always, without from the outside having some impact, that you innovate yourself by yourself and try to compete. So it's always also as a little bit about not only competition, also about collaboration, and that's what innovation means for me. So it's all about being able and giving the possibility for innovation.
Fantastic, and I think that's something that will resonate very much with our audience about being open to those opportunities and being able to innovate. Let's take a quick look at the results from the poll that we came through. So we asked you what was the most important element for successful innovation. We asked, was it leadership, financial resources, company culture, or technology? And I can tell you, overwhelmingly, company culture came in at 60% of close to 100 people voting this time round. Then followed by leadership on 24%, and technology 12%, and financial resources just 4% of you thought that was the most important. Now, clearly they all are important aspects, but certainly it paints a picture there. So thank you for those who participated. And how do you, as a panelist, react to that? Does that surprise you? Perhaps we can start with you, Marko.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not a surprise because it's absolutely how I see it. So first of all, you need to have a company culture to drive innovation. If there is no company culture, if you try to want something, if you want to try something to change and to innovate, but it probably will fail because innovation always has to do with failure, and this one is not accepted. If this is not accepted by the company, you cannot have innovation, of course. And if also the company culture, the complete company allows you to have also leadership skills and create an environment within your own department, within your own direct reports and so on, also to drive innovation by the culture. And I think I talked about that last time in the live stream as well, then you're not able to get innovation. So it's all about fail culture, I think, about I talked about the tackle, that you are able to have controversial discussion, and just about controversial discussion, you enable also to create innovations. And of course, you need always to look to the outside, but that's right. I see it in the same way. And financial resources, you can always innovate also without financial resources. That's not so important.
Yeah, interesting there. And Wolfgang, are you in agreement or?
I would like to give it a different twist because it depends. If you can say that if you have an innovative culture, it's easier to innovate in that environment. So meaning most of the startups have a culture that drives their innovation. And then that clearly holds true. When you look into more mature, established businesses, many of them have lost their innovative culture because they became excellent operators, leaders in their field, great perfectionists. And there, I believe that only the leadership can drive innovation because operation will kill the innovation because innovation disturbs their effort to optimize the machine. So I see it a bit more nuanced.
Okay, yeah, very interesting there. And the pandemic has forced us into this era of transformation. Not just in the automotive period, but across many sectors and in our personal lives as well. But has the impact of COVID-19 has that accelerated or slowed the rate of innovation? Maybe specifically towards the automotive supply chain, in your opinions. So Wolfgang, let's start with you.
I would, although you asked specifically for automotive, I would start with the overall context. If you look at digitization in general, at e-commerce, for example, it has definitely accelerated. So there were parts of the economy that clearly benefit from COVID-19. And when we talk about e-commerce, about digital sale, that will, of course, also play a role in automotive when we talk about the OEMs and reaching direct consumers, which might have significant impact on the supply chain. So has that happened? Yeah, we see this in some parts of the world. So OEMs, there is something happening, but I don't see it as deep innovation changing the overall supply chain. I see it still as an effort to make up for the shortfall in demand and find a way to reach customers, stimulate demand to get the machine going again. I could talk a bit more about other aspects, but I think that gives already a view. And there is another aspect, just to complete the picture, because there is a lot of pressure on OEMs, there is a lot of pressure on all the supplier, all the ecosystem. There's of course also a lot of tendency for cost cutting, optimization, etc., which puts in to a certain extent a break. So it's a yes and no from my perspective.
Yeah, so you're sitting on the line like one of those birds in the image we saw earlier. I like it. And Marko? Yeah,
actually, COVID-19, I would see it clearly as an accelerator of all kinds of innovations, for sure. For us as a startup, we are not really operative. Of course, we are operative for prototype logistics. This is for sure. So we are already operative in a certain kind, and we are operative in order to establish our organization, our supply chain organization, because I think we doubled the size within the last 3 or 4 months. And how can we do it? Because normally I want to see the people in person. And we are at the moment located in 4 different locations. And how can you see the people in person in 4 different locations, even when they are in quarantine? So you need to take the video conferences, for example. You need to take all your digital things that helps you and enables you to really get a good thought and a good impression about what it's like. And I think it takes away the fear of using technologies a little bit more, and gives you a little bit more trust that also helps you, that it does not be always to be in person to establish your department. Of course, I would say the whole digitalization world accelerates more and more. About logistic, it's material flow, it's supply chain, no matter if COVID or not. I think what I have seen so far, there was not so much influence. Of course there was, yeah. The volume broke down, the volume go back. But actually what I see, it's like water. Water flows, water finds its way, yeah?
Yeah.
This is logistics. It's just about how you manage it, and that it doesn't go the wrong way. But I think that won't work perfectly with the COVID-19 for us. So from that part, what I can say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to engage with our audience again and run a second poll. This time looking at which part of the supply chain has the most potential and will most benefit from digitalization. So choosing digitalization as a key innovator in the industry. I can see the results coming through now, and just while we wait for those, perhaps we can answer some other bits and other questions for you. So we've talked about acceleration of the industry. I'd like to bring up maybe a controversial point and say, which is more important? Is it standardization or innovation when it comes to the supply chain?
Yeah, if I give it a shot, in the context what I've said before, I believe that currently we are seeing efforts of optimization, so leveraging standardization, in fact. But I believe that we need to focus on innovation because the context has changed. We are living already in a post-COVID-19 outbreak situation, and there is no sign of end of the tunnel. So I believe there is a big need to innovate and first find the new models which allow us to operate in times of a pandemic crisis before we can go back to standardization. At least that is what I believe is valid for the industry. If I think about the fight against COVID-19, we should have some more standards. We should have standards about essential goods. We should have standards, more global standards about critical infrastructure. We need to fight such a crisis. We need more standards about essential personnel. So there we don't need innovation. We need global alignment.
Yeah. Anything to add, Marko?
Well, actually, not so much to add from my side. It's just about the question: what is more important, innovation or standardization? Well, which kind of panel do you want to like more to attend? A standardization panel or innovation panel? I would say 99% go to that direction of innovation. That's more interesting. And it's always about when you have innovated something, then you try to standardize the processes. And then why doing the standardization? This is, I would say, a micro innovation before it's going to the next level. So that's how I see it. And I think it's absolutely in alignment with what Wolfgang said before.
Yeah, and we'll have to look at the figures to see, because our previous session before this was actually focused around standardization. So we'll see which one drew a bigger audience.
Sorry, I didn't know this.
So just looking back at the poll, quite a few results have come through now. So again, it's quite a unanimous result. With 69%. So we asked which sector of the supply chain has the most potential and will benefit most from digitalization. I suppose you can open that up to innovation as well, not just digitalization specifically. But our audience overwhelmingly came back with 69% saying end-to-end supply chain management, and then followed by some very low numbers. Inbound was 14%, finished vehicles 9%, implant and warehousing 8%. So again, the biggest gains to be had and most potential end-to-end supply chain management. And perhaps Marko, as head of supply chain management, how do you see that? Do you agree with that?
Well, actually, I was seeing it a little bit opposite, to be honest, because what is end-to-end? If you break down end-to-end into segments, then you go to inbound, then you have outbound, then you have aftermarket, then you have implant, and it's about the management of everything. This is for sure. And where do I see more innovation? Actually, everywhere I see some kind of innovation. Is it about planning software regards of supply chain digitalization in the end-to-end planning process? Well, there is so much going on so that you can plan your supply chain. Is about inbound or outbound. So an inbound is for the other one, and outbound, and vice versa. So in both, I see track and trace possibilities where you more connect the supply chain with your own ERP system or whatever you have. This is for sure something where I see aftermarket 3D printers everywhere. I think this is a total change of the aftermarket logistics. And for implant there I see robotics, industry 4.0 and so on. And I think everywhere I see many innovations. I cannot clearly say this is here or there. In every field I see innovation. So I don't have a favorite, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I suppose as head of supply chain management, you can't have a favorite, or at least not publicly. You have to love all your teams and divisions equally. And Wolfgang, your perspective?
There is innovation everywhere. So definitely there is. I see innovation within the factory, for example, because of the physical distancing. I try to avoid saying social distancing. I think it's a different thing. The physical distancing has brought requirements to re-engineer. We still have to keep in mind that in the world about 350 million people work in factories. So when we talk about robots, a lot of things cannot be robotized. So I see innovation there. I see innovation in logistics. Innovation, I don't want to, I'm not sure whether it's innovation or adaptation, something Marko spoke about at the beginning. So we see more cross-docking facilities near ports because people want to be sure that they can buffer in case disruptions occur, etc. But there is definitely movement and evolution in logistics. I stopped there with the individual part. However, I believe that the holy grail is to make everything work seamlessly, coordinated, and that innovation in silos whether it is the warehouse, and warehousing automation is booming. So there's clearly also a lot of drive on innovation. But making it all work together gives you much more return on investment of each individual siloed investment in innovation.
Yeah, great. Good point. And we're getting close to the end of the session now, but if I can squeeze in a couple more questions, I certainly will. So we have one from the audience. How do you balance innovation, investment, with cash flow and cost management in a crisis? So how do you balance the innovation, so the investment of innovation, with cash flow?
The way it's usually done is in corporates, because when we talk startups, it's all about innovation, right? It's all about getting something new out. So we talk about established companies and corporates. The way you do it, you have a kind of number of usually a percentage of revenue, which you as a company should put into innovation. And as innovation drives the future profitability and competitiveness, that is kind of set across an industry. So that's how it's usually done, which means if it's 2%, if it's 4%, depending on the industry, is set aside for innovation. Well, that's a good way, but that's how it's done. And that's, I think having a budget is essential. And there comes again my previous point about the leadership. All the big machine operators, they are budget hunters. So now they will go to the CEO every day and say, I need more money. You need to keep the cash cow alive. And why do we waste our money with this and that? And that brings me back to what I said. So balancing is like setting aside a budget, which helps to keep at least my competitive position in the industry. Because survival of today is something, but if I die next week, it doesn't help me neither.
Yeah, absolutely. And then maybe I can just finish with one final question. I know we're running very tight on time now, but let's leave on a really positive note. What's the most exciting innovation that you've seen this year? It's been a difficult year for us. So, what's exciting you right now in terms of supply chain innovation? Open to the floor.
Okay, I can say what excites me is exactly the end-to-end supply chain optimization. That excites me. What I have seen this year, what really struck me was using computer vision in manufacturing to reorganize, to re-engineer manufacturing processes. I found this fantastic. Yeah,
great. And Marko?
Well, what I have seen, I'm not sure if this was this year or last year, nothing related to COVID. This was more the location of parts combined with artificial intelligence, that you even see, for example, for a finished vehicle, also for parts going by sea freight to somewhere, no matter where they are at a seaport located, that you can predict the ETA according to the location. It was something that I would say even about artificial intelligence, where the truck is driving, where he has to make a pause, and about everything to predict when that really arrives, even by sea freight, which line do you take, which vessel do you take? So that is something that really I would say still I remember most from that what I have seen the last couple of months. Of course, there was a lot I have seen, but it was most in my mind when I was thinking about that.
Great. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the session, and it's nice to end on a positive note and to see you both talk so passionately about automotive logistics and supply chain. The content continues this afternoon. Stick around for further sessions. We've got NIO, we've got Volkswagen, FCA North America, Visteon, Hyundai Glovis, plenty more coming as well. So stay tuned, and we'll also be joined by Wolfgang and Marko in sessions later on in the program tomorrow and the following days as well. So plenty more time to engage with them, catch up, and continue networking. And looking forward to continuing the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marko, Richard. Bye. Thanks.